In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel. Now, to the Bernard McGurk Studios, here's Lionel.
With you when this is Another Side of Midnight. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. Let me start off as I normally do. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Sky. Absolutely. 100%. We need more Doctors Sky. And one of the things he did, which I want to tell you right off the bat, is a couple of things regarding Amelia Earhart, which I find, they named a luggage company after her. Think about that. Is that the last name of the company you want to buy luggage from? This person who was lost, kind of like the Nancy Guthrie, though we have a better idea what happened to Amelia Earhart than we do to Nancy Guthrie. But I don't want to get too far off into this. But a little bit, which I found interesting, and I'm not sure if his noted and most fascinating guest perhaps alluded to this, but Gore Vidal, one of my personal heroes, who coined the phrase, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. And he also said that at everybody's point in life, there comes a time when you must make as an affirmation, as an article of faith, that there are no such thing as conspiracy theories. But anyway, he suggested that his father, Eugene Vidal, who was a part of the aeronautics or airspace or air flight or whatever it was during the Roosevelt administration, that he and Amelia Earhart had perhaps been very close friends, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that's true or not. Then again, of all the people in the world that one could have perhaps been known for being a Lothario with, Amelia Earhart would not be one of my particular favorites. But hey, who am I? Who am I to say this? My friends, if we could unclear those lines, that would be wonderful. Now, I've got a couple of things to say in no particular order. Let me explain something to you. Oh, strike that. One more thing Dr. Sky is doing. Thank you for mentioning geoengineering. Don't ever call them chemtrails. Don't call them chemtrails. We've had on repeatedly the great Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org. Geoengineeringwatch.org. The number of people who still to this day, with a straight face, look at you and they say, oh, no, that's a conspiracy theory. Those things you see, those are contrails. That's condensation. That's water vapor. Right. I've been talking about this forever. Decades, perhaps, maybe? I don't know. We've known about this since Operation Popeye. We have known about this because, as I've told you repeatedly, there is the information world that you are given, kind of like a USA Today cable news. Everything's happy. Everything's and then beneath that, there's another version of this, another aspect, another worldview, which is never discussed, never. And that's the beauty of this show now, where I can spend time talking about things which a lot of people do not want to hear. And it's one of the most fascinating things about how people do not want to hear this. And if you want to also, and this is important, for our political party, whatever that is, and my friends, I have said this repeatedly, I am a member of no party. I am not I'm a registered independent, and I could only pick that one because I could find something more non-committal. I couldn't find anything more non-committal or more vague than that because I don't believe in any of the parties, none of them, because they are dependent upon who is the current holder of the party. It's like saying jazz. What jazz? 50s bebop, Charlie Parker jazz, Chick Corea, Wyndham Hill? Who are you talking about? What jazz? What rock? What conservatism? What Republican? What? I don't know. I don't know what Teddy Roosevelt? You want to talk about that one? You want to talk about Barry Goldwater? You want to talk about paleo conservatism, neo conservatism? What are we talking about here? There's so many iterations to this. So it depends on who's who. And what I just told you, most people will look at you and they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, conservatism. Rush Limbaugh. No, that's not what we're talking about. I want to say something which is very critical. I say this now as a concerned citizen. I'm worried about where this country is going. How's that for conspiracies, huh? I'm worried about where this country is going, and I'm worried about what's happening next. And I'm worried about the leadership, and I'm worried about the mission and the worldview, which I don't think anybody really understands. I'm sorry to say this. I don't want to step on any toes, but I don't think anybody really understands this. I really don't think they get it. But maybe that's my role, is to bring you up to speed. But if we're going to have any future in this country, we have to, first of all, understand that we have to appeal to younger people. Not to be contemporary, not to be hip, but in full and total understanding and realization that they are going to be the next iteration, the next generation, the next people to continue this. And so far, what a lot of people are doing is they're making no effort, none, because they're saying, it doesn't matter. This is what I think. This is what I believe. This is my thinking. Okay, fine. That's terrific. But how am I luring anybody in? Let me give you an example of something years ago. As you know, New York in particular, by virtue of this we are so lucky to have this wonderful Eastern European, Jewish food influence in bringing us the now fabled and loved and beloved delicatessen, the deli. I mean, whatever years for, I was a Carnegie Deli fan. Sandy Levine was my great friend. I was on the menu at the Carnegie Deli. The Carnegie, you could blindfold me. I could walk in and I could smell. I knew exactly where I was. And granted, I was eating a lot of meat. Then I loved it, and still just love that smell, the context. Anyway, what people in the business noticed, that there were younger people who were not necessarily, by virtue, this was years ago, by the way, by virtue of their new diets, their new health consciousness, their conscientious side, the deli wasn't, how do I say this? The deli wasn't as popular as it was in the old days, because it was considered not old-fashioned, but it was considered heavy, fatty, what have you. So when the subject came up, I remember at the time talking to people like Sandy and others, and some would say, it doesn't matter. There will always be a place for the deli. I'm saying, yes, but if you want to get new people in to at least walk in the door, you better at least have something that lures them in, and then once they're here, then hit them with something with schmaltz and something heavy, some pastrami or what have you. And some would say, no, absolutely not. We're not going to have anyway. And I realized, oh, I see. And that particular ideology is what we hear today. Some people say, you don't understand. I'm a Ronald Reagan conservative Republican. That's it. And a Rush Limbaugh, and God bless Rush. I knew him, work with him, I love him. But Rush Limbaugh of 1985 is not what we need now. It's a different world. We have new considerations. Granted, many of what he said are forever, are permanent. But there are issues today which only apply today. And if you don't try to blend the two, Younger generations are going to look at you and me and all of us and say, you are an anachronism. And when I say this, people get very upset. They get very upset, very upset. I'm thinking, you are going to be the end, the demise of whatever this movement is. You are. You are. When Zoran Mamdani came along, people just railed against him. And a lot of younger people who were paying attention said, well, tell me specifically what is wrong. What do you mean what's wrong? He's a communist and he's a leftist. And he's a, well, what is wrong with a leftist? What? What's wrong with a leftist? Get out of here. That was the attitude. And I'm telling you the truth. It's kind of like that National Review. Boy, they're a weird group. I don't know. Are they paleo conservative? I like a lot of what's being said, but I don't know where they're going with this. So what I'm thinking about is the future. I'm trying to figure new ways to get new people in to appreciate what it is that we're talking about and what we are all saying right now. And if you don't listen to me, you're going to miss the greatest, as you would say, conspiracy, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. There is a there's a group of people saying you better come up with a different dose of reality and politics, because if you think that you've won me over by virtue of some reference to some period of time that you hold dear from 40 years ago, it ain't working. And this is where I tell people of my generation, it's like, get with it. What are you doing? And they look at me like, again, what are you talking about? Now, that being said, I'm going to get to your calls, but I want to make sure I get this out of the way once and for all, because this drives me crazy. And in order to really fully understand this particular subject matter, you're going to have to master this phrase, this definition, and this way of looking at things, because chances are you probably are making the same mistake everybody always does. And that is to use the word conspiracy or conspiracy theory. This, again, drives me nuts. Now, again, it's not a very long ride, but let me explain this to you. A conspiracy, when you say a conspiracy is a confederation, an agreement, a coordination between two or more guilty people working together kind of behind the scenes towards some shared plan. And the plan is normally considered nefarious, criminal, something bad. You don't conspire to distribute, food and clothing to hurricane victims. That's not a conspiracy. That's an organization. Conspiracy implies, again, a kind of a negative, a furtive, a dark, a criminal confederation, an agreement. It's an agreement. It's an arrangement. It's a way that two or more people work together. What many people do is when they see something that's unusual or hard to explain, or something that's eerie or unsettling or contradictory, or something that doesn't add up, or something that's surprising, or something that you believe involves maybe a cover-up or people lying, they call it a conspiracy. So if it's odd, unexplained, mysterious, unusual, or even strange, that's not a conspiracy. That's something odd, unexplained, mysterious, unusual, or weird. So stop saying, well, this may be some conspiracy. I don't want to, is this a conspiracy theory? The word has again been used for reasons I will never understand. Why? Oftentimes, as a lawyer, which I am, as a former prosecutor, which I am, every now and then somebody would say, well, I was going to tell you something. Well, this is, I know this is hearsay. I say, wait, stop. No, it's not hearsay. You're using the wrong term. Again, it's these things that we use, these phrases. So when we talk about something that perhaps maybe is hard to understand, That's not necessarily a conspiracy theory. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about the end of one iteration of Alex Jones and why that should matter to you. We're also going to explain this weird kind of reverence and this fanaticism over King Charles and the British family you think Epstein's big? Wait till you hear their story. And what is it? It's nescience. It's ignorance. It's the fact that most of us, you need me to tell you the truth. Because this is Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
This weekend, my wife and I happened to be doing some traveling for combinations of reasons. And if ever you want to see the complete and total demise of our civilization, you want to talk about a, quote, conspiracy? Because I think this might be a conspiracy, a nefarious cabal, a confederation between evil forces. Because somebody somewhere is saying, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you take every semblance of society, every aspect of cordiality, every dram, every gram, every ort, everything you can imagine that indicates culture, finesse, style, throw it away, get rid of it completely. And you can see this at airports. One is the idea of the introduction of the pajamas or I guess clothing that maybe you wake up straight from bed. I don't know. And the those slides, those awful, ugly, horrible, they're not sandals, I don't know what they are. They're slides with also kind of ankle level, these socks and loose, again, clothing, pajamas or PJs or pajamas, depending upon where you're from. And also you must understand too, there's a wonderful article of clothing in certain aspects, certain demographics. It is I guess you'd call it a bonnet. It looks like a maybe a shower cap / bonnet / by the way, a slash is another word for a solidus or a virgule. I'm sure you knew this. But anyway, there's this thing they wear, women in particular. It's this, I don't know what it is. It's not a headwear like an Ilan Omar. It's not a part of either African or some type of Somali headgear, religious. No. It's just this thing. It came about overnight. It's not a bandana. It's a bonnet, and it indicates trouble is a brew. Next, the proliferation of ugly, hideous tattoos that have gotten out of control. Somewhere, somebody along the way, I'm convinced, said, let me see if I can just start some artificial craze where people will go out of their way to cover their entire body with tattoos. By the way, carrying ink whose safety we've never really figured out. I'm telling you, go to airports. And in fact, if ever you see some of my favorite forms of YouTube entertainment, which I love thoroughly, is arrests, women in particular, Karens. And what you see more than ever, remember, it used to be postal. People would say the post office was the site in our particular culture of where people would go berserk and crazy. Now it's airlines. People who are thrown off of planes, people who are drunk, inebriated, or just bat, you know what, crazy. And you have to clear the plane out first to remove them. This is, I'm telling you, if you want to look around and if you want to see how our collective humanity is being contaminated, becoming putrescent, fetid, it's just rotten, it's just decomposing, go no further than the airport. I'm telling you. In my generation, you probably remember this, and I only bring this up for reference, not that I necessarily hearken back, though I might. There was a time when going on airline travel, it was just so elegant. You wore a jacket. People would say, hey, what did they serve you? Did they give you like plates? I'm this. I mean, it's hard to believe with silverware. And now we see these. Oh, I forgot to tell you. One thing is the yoga pants. There are two words, callipygian or pigeon. Callipygian, stiato or steatopygian. Steatopygian is, how do we say this? Is basically enormous, gargantuan, almost, dare I say, forgive me, circus-like and medical text-like buttocks. Something that is just out of the ordinary. And there are certain tribes, certain lineages that have this particular type of thing. Callipygian or callipygian is more shapely. There used to be a time when people, women and others, would say, I don't know if I like this. Does this flatter me? Do I look rather, do these pants make my posterior? Does it seem, is this the best for my particular morphology? Maybe I'll wrap something around my waist to kind of camouflage. Not anymore. Oh, no. Every square inch, every square centimeter of this circus-like caboose must be, in addition to all of the other accoutrements heretofore mentioned, must be highlighted and shown. Look at it. Look at me. And the bare midriff. Throw that in, and what you have, there's nothing like some panis, some paniculus, some tenter-bellied beer gut, some spare tire. I'm telling you. This is not any kind of weight shaming. No. This is about somebody who have become slobs. We have become slobs. And it's a version, if you will, almost of the broken window theory. This is Wilson and whatever the other name of the moiety is. Rudy Giuliani made it popular. The idea that when you look around you, when you see a broken window of a storefront, you're sending the word out to people that your society, your civilization, your area doesn't care about this. With that in mind, we are seeing how people don't care about the way they look. They're likewise sending out a message. In any event, I'll get more of that. We have a lot to talk about. The king. The king. A little bit on Alex Jones. Also, Area 51, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking also about DEW and earthquakes at Area 51, as it is suspected. And also some interesting things that are happening. AI generation, by the way, new iterations of this. And also a connection between Chandra Levy. Remember Chandra Levy, the 24-year-old intern, remember with Gary Condit, who vanished in 2001? A new theory being posited by her parents that may have something to do with her knowledge, her interest in, of all things, UFOs and the like. All right, my friends, so without further ado, let's go to a man who redefines the ability to articulate to wax brilliant, a man who chronicles aspect of our entertainment encyclopedia that, frankly, no one cares about. A person who has been described as the Stanley Fafara, the Corbett Monica, the Sandy Barron, the Stanley Myron Handelman, if you will, the Ferrante and Teicher, pick the one you want, the Los Indios Trabajadores of our current iteration of humanity, I give to you, and I'm proud to bring to the microphones of Another Side of Midnight, the one, the only, the inimitable, the ineffable, number 15 in your program, number 1 in your heart. You know him, you love him, John from Hell's Kitchen. Good day and good morning, good sir.
Good morning to you, Lionel. I sound like the whole guest list of the Ed Sullivan Show there.
I saw one the other day. I saw a list. I saw one I had. It was in fact, if you had a cell phone, I could text this to you, but I can't. But they had this veritable who's who of everybody from Jack Carter to one of the remaining Ritz brothers. Oh, it's phenomenal. Anyway, John, what's on your mind, my friend?
How are you, first off?
Beauteous, good sir.
That's good. Glad to hear that. I was out yesterday wandering through the streets of New York with my eyes
as you are
aghast,
wont to do.
As I want to do. And I came across 57th Street, not realizing that these people were screaming for the death of Trump. 86-47, and I saw this group of ladies with their children, and their children are yelling 86-47, 86-47. So I wandered over, and I said to him, let me ask you a question. What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, he needs to go. I said, where does he need to go? And I'm looking at these little kids. Now, Lionel, we're of the same age, the same
Indeed.
vintage. We saw Dick Nixon before he dicks you. We saw Ronnie Reagan. We saw the whole. We've seen a lot of this before, but the look in their faces. And I was looking at these poor cops. They were all standing back, like against the wall. They didn't know what to do. And I was looking at these people of every ilk, of every size and height and weight and whatever. And I went, oh my God, oh my God. That was just my take. I was like, wow.
Well, you know what's interesting? In fact, everything that you're saying is interesting. But what I find fascinating, John, is that there is a difference between saying, I don't like his policies, I don't like the man, I don't like what he's doing. I don't think there is anybody that you will find who is more disconsolate, more against the alleged policies of Joe Biden than I was. But I never, ever, ever actively hooted and hollered for his death or his removal forcibly.
Never
Did not want to hear this. Did not enjoy the fact when he appeared to be really ill, because I was able, John, to compartmentalize that from folk. And by the way, I love the people who are so Christian, and they're so Christian.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Go ahead, sir.
You know what's interesting? Like, because we're the same vintage. When we came up, most people, there was always political indifference, but you respected the office. You tried to,
yes.
and it goes hand in hand with this what you were just saying about air travel. Like, there's nothing better than sitting on a plane and watching a 6'4" guy come on in a onesie. With a teething ring and dribble coming down and a bag of hot chicken that he just brought on the plane because he needs to eat because they don't feed him enough.
Right.
So there's a breakdown here. But what really bothered me, Lionel, was, and I never wished any of them, and I don't wish any of them, because they're going to meet their demise anyway when their demise comes. But when I saw these kids. Like, I said it was a group of ladies, and I said to them, so you kept your kids out of school today? Oh, they need to be here. And they need to be here. They need to be saying this. I said, they don't need to be hearing this. I said, James Comey found these shells. The lady said to me, who's James Comey? And I went, oh, boy.
Now to throw a monkey wrench into the works.
Yeah.
I think one of the most stupid things I've heard is anybody wanting to prosecute him by virtue of posting what other people have repeatedly posted. That may be out of touch, it might have been tasteless, but now we're losing our minds with all of this stuff. Let me throw one in for you, which I'm going to get later. Yes. What makes me sick is the way this country, certain aspects, bend over backwards and kiss the arse of King Charles and Camilla, the Queen consort. I'm going to go through later.
With the no kings, and they're bowing to the king.
Right. But here's the best part. Best part. He's a theoretical kind of a titular king. But But if you think Epstein is something, you don't know about him. And Mountbatten, these guys, I mean, they're just legendary. Jimmy Savile.
Oh, yeah.
But you see, my problem is I run into, John, indifference and ignorance, nescience, no clue as to who these people are. I know people who spend their entire life, all they want to do is have a picture they post. Look at me. I'm standing next to the king. You could tell them the BTK killer, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. It doesn't matter. Look at me. The same people who, whenever somebody dies, they want to say, look, I stood next to Corbett Monica. Look, their whole world is a star effing, and I don't want to be grotesque, but their whole world is. And I'm saying, you were the ones who were yelling about the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Do you know what this guy did? Do you have any idea of this family? None.
Yeah.
And the best part is
Lord Mountbatten, who met his end by the IRA on a boat. They blew him out of the water. I mean,
well, that was, and by the way, I am again certainly about that. Lord Mountbatten, by the way, Charles's great uncle, his mentor, his close advisor, also considered the real father that he never had. This is a guy who faced posthumous allegations of child sexual abuse.
Yes.
Did you know? While we're on this subject, I was going to wait till later, but now it's fine. A 1944 FBI file described him, Mountbatten, as having a reputation in certain British circles for inappropriate, I'll clean this up, conduct involving young boys. And more recent claims, including a 2022 lawsuit and a 2025 book entitled Kincora, Britain's Shame. They linked Mountbatten to the Kincora Boys' Home scandal in Belfast, where systemic abuse of boys occurred. And the allegations accused, I don't even want to say it, but everything that you can imagine, abuse and physical violence from the home, and claims that some were trafficked to his estate in Mullaghmore in Ireland, along, by the way, with other broader accusations of intel agency cover-ups. And then you've got Charles with Jimmy Savile from the late 70s through 2000s. By the way, he was a necrophile. Go back, spend some time. There's BBC specials on it. They were screaming about this. And Charles is there.
Well, that didn't matter when he was standing in front of Congress trying to make jokes. He looked like he was embalmed. He looked like they embalmed him before he came over here.
I'm going to say one more thing, too. This is a man who, ready for this? They iron his shoelaces. Let me say that again, John. I don't think you caught it. They iron his shoelaces. And this is a man telling us.
Don't you?
This is a man. By the way, right, why wear Velcro? But this is a man who, by the way, wants us to go back to. He's trying to pull us into this ridiculous war with Ukraine again. This NATO shill. He's a shill. He's a sellout. And everybody. I swear to you, I would be respectful. I wouldn't say anything. I would turn around and walk right out. You're not going to see me standing there and me smiling with this stupid, eating grin. I look like Mamdani with a lewd that kicked in because Americans don't know anything about history. They don't know anything.
And don't forget that he's all about the earth needs to be green. So how did he get around when he was here? On a donkey? on a bicycle? Did him and Camilla have a bicycle for two? How did they joust about it? I mean, it's such.
You know what?
It's like watching an episode of Monty Python's, for God's sakes. It really
John,
is.
I thank you. John, I wish you all the best, my friend. Thank you so very much. Let's go to Ed in St. Louis. Ed, you're on the other side. Another side of midnight with Lionel. I'm going to get that one day.
Well,
how are you, Eddie?
Preservation Month. Happy Preservation Month.
Thank you, sir. What are we preserving?
The only problem is we're destroying developers and their crooked clients are destroying historic assets in every city of America without interruption. And they're
Explain,
also
sir.
They're getting
Explain.
the taxpayers to pay for this. It's called front-loaded funding. So all they have to do is pay off enough public officials at whatever levels. And now you got to do federal, state, and local, and you can have at any historic asset.
Well, give us an idea. What do you mean? Give us an idea. Explain a little bit more what that means, sir. Preserving what?
All right. You were talking about conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
For 25 years, I have fought the three people who decided in 1985 to destroy Kiel, Opera House, and Muni to protect other theaters in St. Louis. They are still at it. They are reducing the capability of both. They almost destroyed both, but we were able to get them on the register and to stop them. I'm 87, but by God, they're gonna have me at them one more time, young man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you. What can we do to learn more about what you are saying? How can we become smarter, sir?
Appreciate that. It's so deep. It's so layered. What I've suggested is that the National Trust get in here. They've not helped St. Louis. We need the National Trust in here Monday, and I think we need the U.S. Attorney at least to put a injunction to stop the damage. To stop whatever work.
Well, Ed, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I appreciate this immensely. I think, by the way, you mentioned the Kiel Auditorium. This was, of course, one of the greatest wrestling venues in the history. This is something more that I'm aware of. One of the great. I think Sam Muchnick, whatever it was, from your neck of the woods. In any event, Ed, I thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Let's go now to Mark in Aurora. Mark, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, you were talking about the coarsening of society. That's exactly what Harold Bloom talks about in his book, The Closing of the American Mind. And I find it interesting that he equates the closing of the American mind with the coarsening of society and with incivility. And on WGN, we used to have a talk show host named Milt Rosenberg. He had a PhD in social psychology, and he gave us an example of what he would consider incivility or a violation of decorum. He saw a young couple walking down Michigan Avenue, and the man had his arm around the woman, and with his other hand, he was clasping her breast out in public. And he said, this is incivility. This is the coarsening of society. And technically, this young man had a right to do that. But anybody with half a brain would say this violates decorum. This violates decency. Even in countries where the women dress topless, I'm guessing there's a no-touch rule. Unless it's your wife or.
Well, you bring something up which is very important. Just because something is not. How do I say this? Just because something is not illegal, correct, does not mean that is something that we aspire to. They say also that morality is what you do when nobody's looking. And I will point to something, Mark, which probably, and by the way, I thank you for your call. And I think many people think that this might be the most priggish of them all. And that is that when we eat, I look at table manners, and I'm not talking about whether you use the right soup spoon or any of that sort of stuff. What I'm talking about is something a little bit different. And one of my favorites, one of the things that kills me, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's true, is the fact that we hold our fork when meat is cut, when meat is speared, almost like a friar tuck, like we're savagely stabbing something viciously. And I can look, because we happen to be in New York, and it's kind of an international city. I can see people from other countries who they don't drip in wealth. They may not necessarily look to be the most jewelry laden, but they have the most precise and beautiful table manners. Have you ever seen the way Gordon Ramsay holds a knife and fork? It's beautiful. There is a what was the show, Mr. Prime Minister? There was one episode, and I keep this, where they're eating lunch, and I want to cry. I want to cry how beautiful it is. And when I see this, I look at the left hand and I want to scream. Now you're going to say, you're being priggish. You're being pedantic. You're being, you know what? You're right about that. You're absolutely right. Perhaps, maybe, but I don't care. This is something which nobody ever even imagines. There is something that is so interesting. As I've told you, I study the decline of our civilization, and my coursework is done on YouTube by looking at people who are arrested. And there are certain groups of people, and you could say, and you can't identify it. I think it has to do with education. I think it has to do with some pockets and subdirectories of people in various, I don't know. And you've got to be crazy. You got to be careful, because remember, if you say something, if you identify something, if you say something regarding a subdirective, if you say, this is an African American trace, this is a Latin American trace, this is something you see in Latino, this is a Chinese American trace, if they want you to shut up, they will call you racist or xenophobe. Oh, and the new one now is anti-Semitic. You're an anti-Semite. If you say something that goes against a particular narrative, they want to shut you down. They don't want to hear anything, even though what you're saying is not a blanket statement against anybody, in any event. But there is something right now that is accepted, and that is I can yell as loud as I want, as long as I am upset, as long as I am miffed, as long as I am reduced to anger. I can say whatever I want, and you can't stop me. And I'm going to scream. And I'm also going to have groups in my particular group, and we're all going to talk at the same time, and we're going to scream at the same time. Oh, and language. Oh, anything goes with that. And there's one more thing. There is a rule that I used to understand, and I thought everybody understood it, and maybe you can help me. And it goes something like this. If you ever put your hand on a police officer, and that could be either a punch, a slap, a push, a shove, or flailing your hand and maybe perhaps coming into contact with his phone or something along those lines. If that's what happens, like we say in the biz, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. And you're going to be taken in. And they look at you like, what did I do? You don't understand me. How dare you? And it's I don't know where this came from. I always learned. It was like, listen, I don't care whether you like it or not. If you bump into a police officer, I mean, it was inadvertent. It's this rule. You can't win. You're not going to talk them out. We need to, in addition to go back to teaching kids the rules of etiquette, table cutlery, manners, deportment, we have to have this rule that says, I don't care whether you like these people, you can hate cops. Remember me, I'm always telling you, you have a constitutional right to hate anybody, anything you want. But if you touch these people, if you so much as just even brush against them, you're going to wish you never did this. We've lost that. Now, coming up, I want to explain a couple of things, which is critical. Because what's happening right now is, if you want to see one of the greatest, again, I'm going to use your language, not mine, conspiracy theories, things that should keep you up at night, we are losing systematically, deliberately, by design, not our First Amendment rights, but our ability to speak, not by virtue of the thought police, but the thought vigilantes, citizens. When we come back, I shouldn't say that, but when I continue this particular iteration of thought, Alex Jones is disliked by a lot of people. And instead of people saying, wait a minute, just because I don't like him, I don't listen to him, they went after him. It was lawfare targeted. I don't like Mr. Comey. I think that 86, 47, whatever, is wrong. But to charge him criminally with this? What is the matter with us? No. We're losing the right to speak. Complain all you want. Please. But to bring the government into this? Courts? Oh, no. We will continue, my friends, on this, Another Side of Midnight, with me, Lionel.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Alex Jones is one of the, and has been one of the most exciting voices in American, I'm going to call it counterculture. And most people don't. They think they know what he said, or they kind of, I don't know, they think they did. He was the first person, by the way, who reached out to President Trump. Then President Trump went after him and Tucker and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. I don't know why, but remember, I cannot even remotely imagine another person available today other than this president. But that does not mean that everything he does, I applaud. And anybody, if you ever meet anybody who sits there and says, oh, whatever he does, run from these people because they're mindless. Now, that notwithstanding, Alex Jones, whether you liked it or not, again, I'm not going to tell you this is my style. Regarding Sandy Hook, he basically said, you dared to say this didn't happen. Now, there were other aspects of this lawsuit, too. And by the way, this was lawfare. This was brought to end his reign in this iteration. InfoWars went out of business, but he's not. He's going to come back. And I hope somebody is smart enough to keep the momentum going. But let me explain to you what happened. He was told that he cannot say that, let's say, this shooting didn't occur or that this event that did not occur because that's wrong. Do you know how many things you and I say never occur? I've got a friend of mine who swears up and down that we never landed on the moon. Okay, it's not my cup of tea. I really don't know as much about this. He could be right. I'm not ruling it out. It's just not something that I'm that familiar with. Are you telling me that he won't be able to say this because maybe somebody might yell at Buzz Aldrin or drive by Buzz's home or make his family feel unsafe because people are saying, hey, Buzz, not only do we not think we didn't land on the moon, but we think you were responsible in perpetuating this fraud. Do you know how much stuff we say never happened? The people who have different versions of 9/11 or different versions about Vietnam or different versions about COVID or what happened or what didn't happen or about vaccines. Everything that we do, if you think about it, every time somebody goes on a microphone or cracks a mic or writes something that is contrary to the official narrative, what you're saying is, I have a different version of reality. I am a revisionist. I am a current narrative revisionist. And if you don't like that, so what? But see, people don't think like that. They don't think like that because as long as nobody's directly countermanding or countervailing or are disagreeing with their ideas. So remember something. If you're an American and you believe in the First Amendment, you've got to realize two things. Number one, you've got to defend people that you may not like. And if you don't like Alex Jones, that's fine. But his right to speak is more important than anything he has spoken. And you may not like Comey, but this nonsense about trying to tell me that a picture of a shells, when other people have done something similar and use those same words, I mean, come on, have we lost our minds? Stop it. I'm going to get you back on the right path, America, whether you like it or not. 800-848-9222. Hour number 2 coming up on Another Side of Midnight with me, Lionel. Stay tuned.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel. Now, to the Bernard McGurk Studios, here's Lionel.
Alrighty, Lionel with you. This is another side of midnight, and I'm so happy to be with you in English. I'll try it again. Be happy to be with you for 2 more hours on this wonderful, this laboratory of free speech, this melange, this pastiche of different thoughts. You know, we haven't talked about this, but one of these days, and this is so interesting. See, let me back up. Let me give you an example of what I meet on a regular basis. And by the way, these are not necessarily people that are, off the street or off the beaten path, but people who are just kind of in the know, many of them involved in media and the like. And I said, can you believe the load of crap that is a story regarding the White House Correspondents' Dinner? And you look at me like, what are you talking about? Did you not see it? Yes. Do you follow up on it? Yes. Do you know what people are saying about it? Well, how can this be? How can this be? And I look at them saying, what are you reading? And again, these are people, I know a lot of people from all venues of entertainment, infotainment, whatever you want to call commentary, political analysis, whatever. It's and the worst, you know it, cable news. Oh my God. I don't know where they're from. I have no clue. All right, fine. Have you heard the latest one? And remember something. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't necessarily have to accept what people are saying, but you have to be aware of what people are opining. And one of the things they are opining is that some people are suggesting that there is the real interest in this ballroom that the president is fighting for. You notice there was an inordinate move to pass legislation or funding for the ballroom. It makes sense. You know, this wouldn't happen if there was the ballroom. It would also wouldn't happen if you had decent security. But anyway, but many people are suggesting and opining now that the real story is a bunker that is being looked at, something that is underneath the ballroom, that is the secret behind this. Now, I've got a number of intellectual problems with that, one of them being this. Why do we need to have this pretextual event? Why must we have that? For the president or the government to say, we're going to build this thing no matter what. In fact, we'd rather you not know about it. And every subsequent administration is going to know about this as well. Next, all you have to do is watch any of what happened to realize this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. What is this guy's bolting? Did you see this? Did you hear what people who were in the know said? What kind of training is this? They stood there and looked at him. They left this. This guy went out. They had a fellow with a dog. I'm not going to go through it. You've seen this. Maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe you're watching, I'm going to say it, cable news. They do this kind of a glossed over, like, don't look too much here. Let's move along. We have a 30-second segment for this little, let's go to, segment A, block A. We've got to get rid of this commercial coming up. Let's move along. Move these stories along. Don't think too much, children. Here's a little bit of an amuse-bouche, a little bit of a little sampling. That's all. The case stinks. And the best of the best of the best. There is this internecine battle that is going on. I have no idea. There has been this elevation, an attempted elevation, this apotheosis, this deification, this elevation of Erica Kirk as everybody's favorite, the widow who is being mistreated, the widow who is, okay, all right. Everybody is sitting around. One guy, who is it, Michael Glantz? I think I know him. He was I think he's an agent, sports agent. He's eating his salad. He says, "Do you want your coleslaw there?" And meanwhile, people are walking around saying, let's take the booze, a champagne. Can I get the centerpiece? Can we keep this? People are underneath taking selfies. Everybody's walking around. They sure grab J.D. Vance off. Even President Trump is backstage. You can even see him. Melania, the first lady, slithers down under the table. Nobody's throwing themselves on her. Cheryl Hines, Bobby Kennedy's wife, she's walking around totally unprotected. Okay, Bobby, I'm over here. Little up. Heads up, Bobby. Don't worry. I'm okay. She's walking around like no big deal. And there is another version of this because people just despise Stephen Miller, who I appreciate his snark. He's not perfect, but I love the fact that he just sticks it right in your face. His pregnant wife, he was standing behind, shielding her from where he thought the gunfire was, namely behind him. And yet some people who don't like him say, look, he's using his wife as a shield. That's not what happened. So anyway, out of this cacophony of misunderstanding, people are walking. When they went back to the White House, did you see the way they were? I was like, yeah, that happens. What are you going to do? Okay, fine. So what are people saying? People are looking at this thing and they're saying, how about this Erica Kirk who screams, I just want to go home like a little baby. Now, you're going to say, but don't you understand? Her husband was, you're right, Charlie Kirk, the beloved Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was the most important, oh my God, voice. And you know who's going to replace him? You ready for this? Tucker Carlson. What? What did you say? Oh, yeah. Tucker Carlson. No way. Way. Oh, big time way. Big time. But anyway, so she, and I know, nobody I know ever started off looking at her and saying, we didn't know who she was. There was no hatred for her. But how is it that she's always insinuates herself next to a camera? I don't know if somebody just happened to be there. And she's the only one who was escorted out. Everybody was told, don't leave. She and maybe an assistant, she gets sent out the back because she can't take it. Okay, fine. And you're going to say, that's because her husband was killed and she is suffering PTSD. And you can come up with any particular iteration of this that you want, which is fine. Nothing is being handled worse than TPUSA and her legacy. So she comes out the next day wearing a black baseball cap, something like from with the Rhythm Nation, like somebody from Janet Jackson. She looks like she's like a sniper herself. And there are people who are saying, are you not only tone deaf, but blind? Do you know what this looks like? Again, not a clue. Not a clue. Because for some reason, again, if you look at this drive-by news coverage, you have this idea that somehow people are being mean to her without any idea of what she said, which is, as you know, par for the course. So what I'm saying, my friend, is this. It's a very, very complicated world. Excuse me. Very, very complicated world that we live in. It is not subject to this black and white, apodictic, Manichean, good guy, bad guy stuff. But I promise you, not one story, not one hearing is going to be provided towards this to find out what happened. And by the way, there are still people walking around who thinks that Butler was arranged, that President Trump knew about this, that he wasn't hit by a rifle bullet, that he, I guess, cut himself like a NWA gaffe years ago. So what we need focused attention to facts. We need to educate the people and let them know what exactly is going on. So let's go back to the phones, my friend. 800-848-9222. All the lines are full. Let's go to Ben in a place called New Jersey. Ben, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, it's Ben. Yep.
That's why I said it.
This, I wanted to reflect on our past, and I'm sure, considering our age, how simple our lives were when we grew up.
Simpler.
I'm listening to your commentary recently about what's gone on, and I do want to challenge you a little bit here. I'm a little concerned around what your message is and what your point is around, the Kirk assassination, Charlie Kirk's wife. But, going back to our history, there was a period in our time when there was no cell phones. The most important device in our lives was bicycles. I'm sure you remember that.
Where we churned our own butter and toiled the field.
No, wait. But you and I both, the most important device in our lives was transportation from A to B, and it was not a bicycle. I'm sure that you are a little older than me. Not much. I'm 64 years old, but you and I are in the same timeline. Correct? Am I wrong?
That is correct. This is the longest introduction. So what is your point, sir? Tell me. Let's get to your,
the point is,
your difference.
You were talking earlier in your conversation of just, some of the wholesome things about our lives and the difference between where we were. That was my takeaway. Maybe I misunderstood what you were trying to discuss in your earlier, talking points. But
okay, so
where
are we? I'm sorry. So what is the point of this? I'm sorry.
Where we are today and how complex life has gotten. And I do believe that, the cell phone and the integration of a lot of the technology has made life a lot more challenging for the people who are really holding up our society.
I disagree. But anyway, but what's your point? But go ahead.
My point is that...
But what do you disagree with?
What I disagree with right now is what listening to in the last few moments, I don't...
What do you disagree with? You haven't told me yet.
I disagree with your it sounds like, because you were dancing around...
Okay, what is it? Just say it. Tell me, what do you disagree with? Tell me.
What is your position on...
No. What do you disagree with? You said, I disagree, and now you're asking me, so you don't know what you disagree with. Again, for the fourth and fifth time, what do you disagree with? Tell me.
Are you telling me that Charlie
disagree
Kirk's wife...
Understood what? What are you talking about? You talking about cell phones and bicycles? What are you talking about?
Are you telling me right now that Charlie Kirk's wife is somehow disingenuous? Is that what your point is here?
Yeah.
Why? Why would that be the case?
Okay. How much time do you have?
Well, I certainly have.
Have you just
minutes.
weighed in? Did you? Let me ask you a question. Have you just looked into this? Do you have any idea of the history of what she said? Anything at all?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay, fine. Okay, good. That explains it then. I understand it.
I'm a novice. Why would I know that?
Why would you know? It's been because if you know enough to call and disagree, that implies and insinuates that you know enough about the facts to have kind of an underlying understanding of what she has said, how TPUSA is working, and how she was elevated to CEO overnight. It's a very complicated thing. But since you don't know this, I would suggest, first of all, two things. Number one, accept my thanks for your call. Next time we talk, get down to the point quicker, if you could. But number two, learn the facts and then find out what you disagree with. This is Lionel on Another Side of Midnight.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
I was trying to dissect that last caller. I was like, what are you saying? Get to the point. What do you want? Huh? What's going on here? Have you ever had somebody who says, I'm going to just weigh in on something I know really nothing about? Nothing. And I want you to maybe catch me up. Am I to suggest to you that It's like if I said, let me get this straight. Are you suggesting that maybe Vietnam might have been, I don't know, unnecessary? Well, yeah. Well, why do you say that? It's like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Where do you start? How do you even begin to say, well, let me start from the beginning of this? It is unbelievable. And by the way, it just goes to show you, there was this idea years ago about this Erica Kirk. See, there's this mantra that people say is, well, you can't say anything. She's a widow. She's a widow? Yeah, she's a widow. And your point is, well, you can't say anything because she's a widow. What about Jackie Kennedy? What about Coretta Scott King? What about Yoko Ono? What about Courtney Love? People, well, that's different. Why is that different? Well, it's just because you don't know what they never gave you the talking points. You're just saying this stuff. This Erica Kirk, one of the things that she did was the most grotesque thing she did was after this guy is dead in the box, she leans over him. She's laying on top of him and puts this out on social media, basically highlighting grief. I guess there's some kind of a virtue signaling, some grief porn. Look at me. That's personal. That's the father of your kids. Don't do this for your own. You don't need to do this to show your perspective. People were shocked by that. Shocked. How grotesque to sit there and milk this. And then the next thing you did, which most people don't know, within 5 days, 6 days after his murder. And by the way, if you think Tyler Robinson did this, you're really out of control. There's just no hope for you. None. I don't know what to tell you. That means you know nothing about this. But anyway, after that's done, what's even more interesting, she does this video, which is apparently was released. It was a Zoom video or something where she is absolutely giddy. Talking to these young kids were so devastated, working their butts off. No time off, no PTOs, no grief counseling, no nothing. Like, come on, let's get back to work. The merch sales are up, and it was like Glengarry Glen Ross. It was like, coffees for closers. I couldn't believe it. People were shocked. And these people who were fired because we hear you might be sick. Look, and the best is this vestigial group of TPUSA, because they're going to be out of business before you know it. There they are saying this stuff on the Charlie Kirk show, constantly talking about their own self-preservation, their own contretemps, their own problems, their own. You can't believe how tacky this is. All they have to do is say, could tell us what you're doing to continue Charlie's message? No, we're not. We're tired of that. We're worried about our own bottom line here. It's seriously. But the most important part is, it's like somebody coming along who's like a drive-by, they're kind of double parked, and they want you to get an elevator pitch on something which is taken, since this is 8 months ago when he was assassinated. And by the way, how that trial is it just goes to show you. And for me to pick up a phone and say, so I don't really know anything about what you're saying, but what do you mean? Oh my God. Incredible. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Let's go to Kevin in Long Beach. You're on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. Great show. Pat
Thank you, sir.
is doing a great job.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Could you?
Yes.
I can't hear you for some reason. Maybe it's me. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Let me take you off speaker. I had you on speaker because I was waiting long.
Please don't.
I would like to do a little rapid fire and climax with my Prince Charles royal family theory that you might have heard. But a couple of things. Your song. What is that? A salsa? That's a Spanish. What kind of music genre is that? Just that.
It's called Gitano. That's Gypsy Kings. It's called Niña Morena. It's a gypsy music, gitano. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
Okay,
All
so
right.
a couple of rapid fire if we can, and then we'll climax with the
Well,
King
we'll see.
Charles.
We'll see.
Is that
Let's give it a
is
shot.
that okay?
Well,
Okay.
we'll see. Can't promise
first thing,
anything.
You said you were a lawyer. You are a trained lawyer,
Yes.
right? Okay. So the threat to any president, I know what you're saying, that this is really extreme, but by posting that,
What is extreme? Excuse me.
you
What is extreme,
saying-
sir? What is extreme,
But
sir?
but that's the thing in law, isn't there?
What
the
is
gray area?
extreme?
What is
You
a
said,
threat
excuse me,
technically?
you said, I said this is extreme. What is extreme? What?
Extreme meaning those 4 letters
What?
he's being prosecuted. 4 numbers. I'm sorry, not letters.
Yeah, right.
So you're saying
Do
this
you
is outrageous.
do you
but-
believe? Let me ask you a question. Do
Okay.
you think this is a viable that this will withstand First Amendment attack?
Yeah,
Do you
know,
think-
I lost faith in the justice system when OJ was considered.
Okay, let me
not
ask you a
guilty.
question. I want you to answer my question.
Okay, I
Rapid
will, I
fire,
will.
rapid fire, as you say.
Okay, right.
If
Quick.
I say 86, stop for 1 second. The word 86 can mean to kill or dispatch. It also can mean get rid of. And also, it's been done by so many people throughout years. Do you believe that this is a prosecution from the DOJ? Nothing involving Epstein, nothing involving government fraud, but to go after Comey for this? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's no.
Yes or no?
It's a gray area. It's hard to say because what do you consider?
Why is it hard
a
to say?
threat? Well, okay. I think you have a right, and as a litigator, I could hear your lawyer.
No. What do you think?
judge.
What do you think? No, forget me. What do you
It's
think?
hard to. So okay, this is one thing I did want to.
Why is it hard to say? Stick with what you're saying. Why is it difficult for you to understand that this is a political statement that may or may not? You're saying this is a clear threat.
No, it's not a clear threat. It's a very
Well, what are we doing?
obscure, which you can't then prosecute as the law, right? Because the law requires a certain amount of the burden of proof. Where's the proof that he really is threatening the president?
No, it's not that.
there.
Under the Supreme Court case of Brandenburg, there has to be something imminent, an imminent threat that has to be clear, not throw the bum out or get rid of him or things like that.
Right. Okay. So I really wanted to ask you more of the philosophical question. All these amazing things, from Trump to King Charles to our celebrity, we love, and the Charles. It's like this is a joke. It's the commander in chief. Trump is very funny and entertaining. Love him or hate him. There's a certain same thing with Obama and Clinton. There has to be that's why Dukakis didn't really have that. But this is entertainment.
Kevin, can you stand by for 1 second? Kevin, can you stop for 1 second? By the way, let me say 30 past the hour. I forgot to say that. Kevin, what are you talking about? You're just throwing out little thoughts, little ideas, little. Boop,
it's
boop.
like the commander.
You're saying
it's like the comedian in chief, and here's Charles making jokes like it's just a big party and everybody's having fun.
Now wait a minute. Stop for a second, Kevin. Okay. I beg you. What are you saying? Do you find that offensive? Are you just commenting? Do you like it? I don't understand.
I have to say, it was funny. I mean, his Oscar Wilde joke was like, and he's quoting Oscar
it was
Wilde.
Funny. It was funny.
Like a clown. Like it's a joke, but the whole thing is a joke. It's like...
Are you saying it's a joke in a bad way that Charles isn't taking it seriously, or are you impressed with his comedic talents? What are you saying?
In a little bit of a pejorative way, but this guy's main job is to make a speech, just like our politicians. Is Trump kind of...
Kevin, stop for a second. Okay. Kevin, do you have any idea of what you're talking about? His main job is not to make...
Let me make my point.
No, wait. His main job is not to make a speech like our politicians. What are you talking about?
Wait. Hold on. Okay. Trump, by giving, and this is a good legal constitutional thing.
Just say it.
Wait. He could give absolute pardons. That's like a king-like type of power.
Okay, stop you. Listen, Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Kevin, have a nice day. I can't take it anymore. I don't understand what he's saying. What is your point? If I say, this comes, it's funny, he comes, after all, he's like a king. Aren't we supposed, do we not have kings? I thought that the whole thing about, the no kings movement. He was funny, the whole Oscar Wilde thing. And what are you saying? I said, what? What is this? What? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. And I really want to. Martin in upstate New York. Martin, help us, please.
Lionel?
Martin.
Hey, Lionel.
Yes, sir.
Good to talk with you again. So
I'll be the judge of that. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, how about that Jimmy Kimmel? What a joker. So
Stop right now. Stop right now. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
You've got to do much better than how about that Jimmy Kimmel? What about him?
Yeah, she has a glow like an expected widow, meaning Melania.
Okay.
Glow.
Okay, let me ask you.
So
okay.
these people are constantly saying things all the time that are provocative, like you are. And they're constantly doing this, and they're making nut jobs out here act out against President Trump.
Do you think?
So Comey gets
stop for a second. Do you think? Stop for a second. Stop for a second. Do you think that Jimmy Kimmel, that enough people are watching, that what he said, and others have said as well, is enough to make somebody who would not be inclined to do any kind of violence in the beginning, he's going to make somebody do something violent?
I think that all of these people are saying things at all times. All the Democrats are saying things all the time that are provocative, that are causing these nuts to act out in a way that is unacceptable. For example,
so you're
like
saying
the guy in Butler, the guy down there in Florida at the
you're saying Jimmy Kimmel,
Yeah. Okay.
And people making, quote, provocative statements. Nothing that they're thinking on their own. Nothing that they see on their own. But that if we got rid of all of these people, we wouldn't see any threats on the president's life. But it's Jimmy Kimmel.
I think there's nothing wrong with going after Comey for that stupid seashell thing. There's nothing wrong with going after Comey for that.
Tell me.
Because they went after Trump for impeached him over a fine phone call, as he said, when he talked to Zelensky, and he said to Zelensky, you should look into the Bidens. They're corrupt. And he was right. They were corrupt, and they were doing corrupt things over there. Him and Hunter, Joe and Hunter, were doing corrupt things over there in Ukraine.
So let me get this straight. You're saying it is okay. Hang on a second. Slow down for a second. You're saying that it is okay to prosecute Comey for this stupid, and I think it's ill-advised, I think it's tacky, but other people have used this same phrase. Other people who themselves could now be, can we open up and go back and say everybody, Republican, Democrat, who used almost the identical phrase, you're saying this makes sense to prosecute him because they wanted to impeach the president?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Go after him for everything. Go
after him for everything. What does that mean?
Go after Comey for anything he says.
What does that mean? Stop for a second. You said go after him for anything? Anything
whatsoever, because they do the same thing to us
all
the
insane.
time.
Are you listening to what you're saying right now?
Yeah. What? Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Smart Man.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on. All right. Thank you. Have a nice day, my friend. Listen, the freedom of speech is a wonderful thing, and I appreciate it. All I ask is that have at least a clue. Do you know, go down the list of other folks who have said this. I'm sorry. Now, is it possible for somebody to say something? Yeah. if you write something that's clear, you can't put it this way. Do you know how many times the Secret Service has investigated somebody saying something about either something that somebody said that wasn't really think, well, that's not close enough, because there's this weird kind of gray line. But also, you see this idea that we're doing, say, you know what? They did it to Trump. Well, screw them. Let's give it right back. Wait a minute. Hold it. No, no, no. We don't do that because they're going to do it to us. And let me also tell you something. When these folks get involved, I'm telling you, when they get in charge and when they win during the midterm elections, which scares me, you're going to wish to God they never, ever, that we ever turned our back, because there's this idea right now, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. They are going to come back with a vengeance. And the reason why these people scare me is that they're good. They're vicious. The Republicans, they're right. They're not vicious. They forget. Remember, build a wall, drain the swamp, lock her up. Hillary Clinton, goodbye. Remember that one? Oh, yeah, okay, whatever. It's just kind of like, okay. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's going to get pardoned, right? This is going to happen. I'm telling you, if you don't see what's happening right now, you're not paying attention. And the idea is that, you know what? Let's get them back. Let's bring somebody. Let's have more cases dismissed. Letitia James dismissed. The first Comey case, by the way, the first Comey case was a dog. Do you know who the case where they've got probably the strongest evidence of them all? And that's the John Bolton case. Absolutely. It may not seem like a big deal to you. It may not seem, but it's a huge deal. Let's go to Marty in Chicago. Marty, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Good morning, Lionel. First-time caller since you went 2 weekends.
Thank you, sir.
And I wasn't sure I was going to call in because the first hour or so, everything was pretty serious, but you're on a roll now. There's 3 callers
in a
row.
Wait a minute. Stop for a second. Go
ahead.
Again, I have to ask. You weren't sure you were going to call because I was serious? What does that mean?
Yeah, remember, that means I normally don't call in until I start to laugh at some of the callers.
Okay.
But also it's since you went to weekends, and Yuri told me about 3 weeks ago. Yuri told me he was going to be in weekends, but I'm sitting here and that one caller started to make me laugh. It's like, okay, I'm going to call in. So
that's what it takes. If you don't laugh, you're not going to call in. Interesting. All right, sir, go ahead. Proceed.
But one thing, okay, now I'm going to be serious. I just thought about this earlier this evening. It's like, you know what? Our country is going to hell in a handbasket. And when you started off your show tonight, basically you didn't use the exact words, but along the same lines, like, wow. Because I'm scared too of the way this country's going, and I'm 63 now. So, but
what are you the most scared of, sir? Tell me.
The disillusionment with both parties, and way things are going, all the backstabbing and the insults, and whether it's a Republican pundit or a Democrat pundit, I've listened to every week. I listen to pundits on the radio, and you heard a Republican bashing the Democrats. Then I turn to a Democrat station, hear the Democrats bashing the Republicans, and it's just so far out of hand anymore. It's like,
wait a minute, stop for a second.
Go ahead.
Does this shock you that the left and the right say things and they bash each other? Can you think of a time when this wasn't the case? You wouldn't be able to live during the time of Andrew Jackson. You wouldn't believe what they said about Lincoln. You wouldn't believe what they said about FDR. I mean, you couldn't. You would not be able to sleep. And Grover Cleveland, who's your paw? Who's your ma? Who's your paw? About his marrying his ward. I don't want to break this to you, but there has never been a time, Marty, in our society when the rancor and the arguments and the back and forth was never high pitched and angry. It's who we are.
I don't think
that
it's
doesn't
ever
bother
been this
me.
bad, though.
Huh?
And I'll give you for an example.
Example of what?
When I was a judge at 2 different precincts in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Bush's last time running, and then Obama's
What do you mean you were a
first time.
judge? What kind of a judge were you? What kind of a judge?
For the national election.
Oh,
for
you
president.
got to tell me. I thought you were a judge, like a municipal judge or a circuit judge. Okay.
No, I'm not that.
Is that
smart.
funny? Is that no? But okay. But I mean, you got to be clear. Okay. So when you were a judge, what happened?
It just like, and I don't read the newspaper every day, but pretty much, every week.
You shouldn't read it at all. But go ahead.
Getting back to the time I was a judge for the national election,
Okay.
2 presidencies, I don't remember it ever being this bad, though, Lionel. And
Wait a
I
minute.
wasn't around. FDR and
What did
Andrew
you
Jackson.
stop for a second? You said you were a judge. What did you see when you were a judge?
Well, I had to walk people up to the voting machine,
No. What did
And-
you see that scared you? Not what did you do? You said when I was a judge, so that you're intimating that, and I saw some things. Let me tell you what I saw. Well, what did you see that was frightening to you as a judge?
Nothing being a judge, but now I do.
Well,
with
why
all
bring
this
it up?
rhetoric going on.
No, but I appreciate that, but why bring it up? I don't understand. I'm saying, what do you think right now is the biggest? So you don't like people, you don't like the rancor, you don't like the give and take, you don't like the the arguments, and I'm for that.
Yeah.
What would you prefer that we do? And isn't that just a byproduct? I mean, you don't mind if a conservative speaks against a liberal. You may not like a liberal speaking against a conservative. I mean, what are we? Isn't that just normal? Isn't that just free speech?
I can agree with that. Yeah, you're exactly right. But it just, I don't know. I know I'm being repetitious, but it's gotten out of control.
Okay. Again, is there something right now that, in view of what I've said in the past, remember who was it during Andrew Jackson? They suggesting that he and his wife weren't married. It was bigamy. She didn't finalize her divorce. He was going to kill people. He was going to. I mean, you had Harry Truman. One time, somebody mocked his Margaret singing, his daughter Margaret singing, and he said he was going to basically kick somebody in the balls, for lack of a better word, and punch him in the eye. This is the president. I mean, there are other things that have happened. You think Watergate, Vietnam, maybe we were less rancorous. Just what's going on in the world. Isn't that what's bothering? Isn't that problem? Not so much our speech, but the fact that we have a foreign policy we always have that is just schizoid. That's what scares me, not what we're saying back and forth. That's always been. Look, we do that stuff with sports stuff, Yankees and Red Sox, and
you must have remembered I'm a Red Sox fan, huh?
Okay. Hey, Marty, thank you so much. Have a good day, sir. I how do I say this? He's a good man, and I'm trying my best. I'm not trying to cut people off, but it's like I don't understand what we're saying here. I think that maybe we'll do more of this kind of as a practice, but we need to be better at being able to say, here's what I think. This is my concern. This is my worry. This is kind of where I'm going. Let's go to Len in New York. Len, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. Thanks for taking my call.
Good, sir.
I do want to talk about 8647, but I actually want to say something about one of the callers who called a few minutes ago, who was
Whatever
talking
you like,
about Trump and King Charles. I think in his mind, what he was trying to say is he thinks that leaders like King Charles and Donald Trump, maybe other leaders, I think in his mind, they're known for being rigid, pillars of virtue, very stiff. And I think what he was trying to say is that when you see Donald Trump and King Charles engage in acts of levity, it's it's out of the ordinary and frankly refreshing. I think that's what he was trying to say, even though he didn't explicitly say it in those words. Getting to
Do you
86,
know? Do you know how many times since Nixon, Truman? Truman was a yuckster. Bill Clinton. The idea from time to time, there's a respite where maybe there's a joke or some type of something that is said. It's so commonplace. I don't even think it's worth a mention. It's like, of course, if you're going to meet Winston Churchill did it, Maggie Thatcher, Reagan was cutting up all the time. Why is this even worth noting? Of course, when you're inviting, if you're a guest, you're going to say something that involves levity. I didn't care for what he said at the Congress as far as pushing this ridiculous Ukrainian war business. That was so anyway. So I don't think it was unique, but okay, fine. But what about Comey?
Yeah,
should he be prosecuted? Yes or no?
I want to respectfully say I do not have all the facts that the Department of Justice has, but based on the limited knowledge,
the facts are what you see. The facts are what you see in that social media. That's all you have. It's not the backstory. It's what you see. If somebody says 86, meaning get rid of, bounce, impeach, convict, imprison, remove. That's what 86. 86 means a variety of things. You're going to prosecute somebody for that?
And that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say 86. I didn't see him explicitly say the words assassinate the president, but 86 could mean remove, which could mean embarrass, make his life difficult, dig up some dirt on him. It doesn't necessarily mean physically assassinate the man.
Do you think he should be prosecuted and face imprisonment for posting 86 when other people have done it throughout history? Do you think yes or no?
I know you asked me a simple question.
Do you think Comey should face imprisonment for posting with seashells 8647? Yes or no?
Yes, and he should be found not guilty.
See, so what you're doing is prosecute somebody when you don't really believe he's guilty? Is that what you're saying?
The Department of Justice, I don't know how they can.
No. What you're saying is I'm asking you. No. You would say, look, I know the guy probably is not guilty, but let's prosecute him anyway. And then they'll dismiss it. But let's let him go through the trouble. You know what I mean? The lawyers and the worry and the money, like they did to Trump. Even though, because they knew Trump wasn't going to be convicted of anything. So let's do to Comey what they did to Trump. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know why they want to prosecute Comey.
You're not answering my question. You're saying, listen, Len, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. What Len is saying, let's do to Comey what they did to Trump. It's a kind of a bogus charge. Other people could have said maybe, but you know what? Who cares? He's Comey. And let's do that. Do you understand what that means? Let's prosecute somebody when you don't have a good faith belief as to the actual what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you hear what we're saying? Listen, I can't stand Comey. Can't stand him. Tish James, go down the list. But I'm not going to prosecute this unless I feel that there's a good faith basis where I could argue to anybody they deserve prison time, federal prison time, not a slap on the wrist, not probation, not a fine. That's what ethics maintain. That is in the DOJ rule book. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're paying attention to us on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
All night long, this is Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
All righty, Lionel with you. 86ing the lunacy that we are hearing. It's an amazing concept. Let me give you a couple of things there, which is very interesting. I make it very, very careful, very, very clear that I absolutely despise the selective prosecution and how the Department of Justice has been contaminated by Comey and the likes. And he wrote 8647 on, he saw on a beach walk or something. And now we're going to be using this as charging of threatening. In February of 2024, Matt Gaetz posted on X, we've now 86th McCarthy, McDaniel, McConnell, celebrating the removal of GOP leaders Kevin McCarthy and Ronna McDaniel and Mitch McConnell. Okay, use the word 86th. Okay, fine, maybe past tense. Gretchen Whitmer, Democrat. She said she used 8645. She had a small pin that said 8645. It was visible behind her. Critics, especially Republicans, interpret it as kind of get rid of him. Okay, fine. Jack Posobiec, he's a conservative activist and influencer, posted 8646 on X in January of 2022, referring to then President Biden. Now, here is the thing which is the most important of them all. And this is critical to understand here. When you have, there was a case which is the most, what am I trying to say here? The notion of when a case or when a statement becomes problematic, okay? When it becomes a threat that is imminent, that is clear, that is not susceptible to, well, whatever you can. This is a very difficult thing to do. And the Supreme Court and the Constitution said we've got to be very, very careful. In 1971 or 72, there was a case of the Anarchist Cookbook. The Anarchist Cookbook, whether you like it or not, basically told people, here's how you make poisons and silencers. Here's how you can kill people. There was the case of Paladin Press and George Hayduke, where they took old army manuals and they basically printed them to show how you can kidnap and do terrible things. This is dangerous stuff, exceedingly dangerous. There have been stories, there have been music that advocate everything from, self-harm to suicide to you name it. I shot the sheriff and a boy named Sue. I shot a man in Reno. Now, I'm not trying to compare them. But in a society where people are very loose and very sloppy, and you're trying to balance free speech with all this stuff, I don't like any of this kind of talk because of the lunacy that we have to deal with. But what I am saying is be very, very careful, because the next go-round is going to come back at you, and I think all of us, almost double strength. Be very, very careful. That's all I'm saying. The First Amendment is exceedingly dangerous. It gets in the way of a lot of good stuff, but that's precisely what the drafters of the Constitution intended. Final hour coming up on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel. Now, to the Bernard McGurk Studios, here's Lionel. Breaking news.
And I'm Jake Novak, breaking in just briefly here from the 77 Talk Radio newsroom. Just wanted to let you know that as of 3 a.m., so just about an hour ago, Spirit Airlines canceled all flights and officially shut down. If you have a ticket for a Spirit Airlines flight today, do not go to the airport. New York area airports advising you not to go to the airport unless, of course, you have rebooked on another airline. Now, there are some other airlines that you can try to contact, including United and Frontier Airlines, that are willing to work with certain Spirit ticket holders and employees right now. But, of course, you will have to contact them first. But Spirit Airlines, after failing to be able to secure a $500 million bailout from the Trump administration, has, again, effective at 3 a.m., just about an hour ago, 3 a.m. Eastern time, shut down all operations, all flights canceled. If you are expecting to take a Spirit Airlines flight or meet someone from a Spirit Airlines flight today, do not go to the airport and try to reschedule. Again, I'm Jake Novak. I have a lot more for you on this on the News Hour Weekend Edition beginning at 5 a.m. in just under an hour. And now back to Lionel.
Well, there we have it, my friends. This is now you do understand what also scares me, as I was explaining before. We're going to need, and again, I'm not trying to portend doom here, but as you know, for some particular reason, we used to have an expression in this country that said going postal. When you went postal, everybody went postal, whatever that meant. But now the problems that we're seeing is that airports and airlines, and you're going to see people who are not going to take this thing very kindly. And it's one of those things which is the most important aspect, is that this, I hope that those individuals who are in charge of this reinforce with extra law enforcement, because I have absolutely no faith, none, in what happens when people fail to recognize the fact that whoever is at the airport now had nothing to do with this particular calamity. We'll talk about this more. We'll keep you updated as the news advances. Our number is 800-848-9222. We're talking about a variety of subjects. And by the way, we always get to the notion of First Amendment, the First Amendment. And what we are saying, just because this Comey thing, I can't even believe this is even subject to debate. Again, I don't like what a lot of people say, and I don't like what sometimes the theories, but prosecution. Let me explain to you my background in this. I really ticked off, and I'm going to use words like this just for shorthand. I don't believe these terms mean anything anymore, but liberals and conservatives. But I've been screaming against hate crimes for the longest time. Hate them. I hate crimes. And people said, do you think it's right? I said, no, it's not right. It's right. It's wrong. People should not be saying things about people's faith or race or sexuality. It's wrong. Don't do this. But the First Amendment allows you to hate, to despise, to come real close. I mean, real close. Brandenburg is the case. This is the Supreme Court. This is almost like the gold standard. Threats have to be imminent, not eminent, imminent, immediate, specific, and likely to bring about something. Now, this is a different statute. The question is, are you making a threat? Are you making a threat? This is very difficult. Not laughing over, let's say, a threat, or laughing over the untimely demise of a president. Again, you should stay away from this. Absolutely. Not because it's against the law, but because it's just decency. That's the issue. Very, very, very clear. But is that a threat, or is that callousness? Is that brutish, boorish behavior? You want to be very careful in setting a precedent where somebody would say, I think this is callous. I think this is callous. And let me also explain something which is very, very, very important. And remember, I know it may not, people may not like to hear this, but I love this president. Don't like everything he does all the time, but for the most part, it's pretty good. But I kind of like him. And there is something about him which is lovingly and beautifully crass. It's rude. He's obstreperous. He does this, and I love it. But be very careful, because when you hit private citizen status, are you sure you want to be in a position where you can't say, remember, of course, Tony, a good friend, Tony and Bill, of course, stewarding the helm. Remember, Tony, what was it? F the police. I believe this was NWA, if I recall correctly. F the police. And I think you know what F means. It doesn't mean furlough. But this was was it NWA? Am I getting this correct? It doesn't matter.
Yes, that's the right group, NWA.
Imagine this, though. And by the way, NWA, Tony, would you like to tell everybody what NWA stands for?
The N-word with attitudes.
Right. We got the N-word and the F-word. And then so this went on and okay. Now, At the time, people said, is this a threat to the police? It's like, of course it's a threat. F the police? I don't think it means donate to the PBA. Is this acceptable? Yes. How can that be? Because it does not rise to the standard of having the federal government or any government threatening criminal prosecution. Not that you shouldn't be censored, whether there should be some epidemic response, boycott. Absolutely. This is the world we live in. And I like that. Sorry. I mentioned to you before about hate crimes. See, hate crimes, this was around. Oh my God. This one was around. You understand, you got to charge people with hate crimes. Just the hate crimes. See what happened before. A little bit of background. This is important. There was a time when people would use the notion of a hate crime as a means of aggravating or worsening a crime. If you were charged with, let's say, a first-degree misdemeanor, they'd bump it to a third-degree or whatever felony, or they would aggravate it, the sentence or the charge, where the hate part became not a crime in and of itself, but a reason for, upping the offense. Okay, fine. And I went crazy. I said, that's ridiculous. I can say anything I want. I can stand on the corner. You can stand on the corner and say the N-word. You can wear it on a T-shirt. Now, somebody might say, is that disturbing the peace? I don't know. Is that disorderly conduct? I don't know. We'll argue that might be easier to argue than this. But the point is, that is a thought. That is a thought which is reprehensible and terrible, but it's a thought. And I don't want you to determine what I say is or is not reprehensible. Because they're always trying to remember, they're trying to say what you're saying is racist or anti-Semitic or homophobic or Islamophobic or transphobic. They're always trying to shut you down. And the first rule of our country, of our civilization, of our constitutional republic is we don't shut speech down. It better be real clear and real imminent and real absolute. I mean now. Unequivocal, that kind of stuff. And hate crimes. Oh my God, I couldn't stand that. So what? 2 cases I want to bring to your attention, and then we'll get back to your phones. There was a case, I believe it was in New York appellate courts. There was a guy who was busted for robbing these folks who would meet. Turns out, I think they're a bunch of gay young men who would meet, or gay people. They would meet at this one little park, and this robber or this robbers would swoop in and attack and rob these people. And because they were gay. So they were asked by the police, did you attack them because they were gay? He said, yes. They said, aha, hate crime. He goes, oh, no. This is not because we don't like gay people. No. It's because we thought they were weak. We were targeting a victim, just like some people would go after elderly. Or a rapist goes after women, perhaps. There's a certain degree of targeting that has nothing to do with animus. Oh, is that a hate crime? Don't know. Then there was a case one time, I remember, I believe it was in the village or something. It was a McDonald's here in the city. And this guy was yelling the F word regarding a pejorative in terms of gay people. And he was saying it. And the police came and they said, were you yelling that at gay people? He said, yes, I was. Is it because they're gay? He said, well, obviously. Aha, it's a hate crime. He says, no, I'm gay too. This is the word I use. And as you know, the N-word has become so, my God, has become so ubiquitous, so prolific among individuals who are African-American, who apparently have a vaccination against being called racist, because as you know, the rules are, if you're black, you can say it. That's the way it is. Okay, fine. So if you want to negotiate all this, if you want to spend time saying, well, fine, I don't. And I do not repeat. Let me say this one more time. In our beloved constitutional republic, you don't charge somebody knowing it's a BS charge, knowing it's bogus, and then having the case go away, or maybe later you'll dismiss it or whatever. Oh, no, no, no. That's lawfare. That is precisely what they did to President Trump. That's exactly what they did. We're not going to do it because we follow the law. We're better than that. It's that simple. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Let's go to Liz in Alaska. Liz, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Thank you, Lionel. I've always thought if it's not a violent protest, people can say whatever they want. The other
sort of
is you know, as much as it's upsetting at times. But I wanted to ask you, the War Powers Resolution of 1973. Can that go on for 20 years, like Afghanistan and all that? How does that work?
Who knows?
Okay.
I could tell you when it's implemented, but as far as the longevity of it, how long? Because they, as you know, the War Powers Resolution of 73 or the War Powers Act was a federal law passed over Nixon's veto to reassert Congress's constitutional role in, I guess, what would you call war decisions after the Vietnam War. And it aims to ensure, quote, collective judgment. That's from the statute between Congress and the president. Of course, nobody uses it. The rules are very simple. The president must consult with Congress in every possible instance. And it goes on. There's 48 hours. There's a 60-day clock. Once it commences, though, good luck trying to end it. There's no mention as to cessation. And to be frank, don't you think it's a good idea not to have limitations on a war when it must end? Because once you commence war, you better finish it and you better win.
Well, I always
but it's
thought
never
that
used.
it was if it wasn't a declared war, just a conflict, which Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, and Iraq were not declared wars, I don't think, were they?
No.
I didn't think
it's
so.
a conflict. I love it's a conflict. It's a police action. It's a brief military. I mean, listen, all that stuff doesn't matter. Now, very frankly, the idea has never been that we must get Senate or congressional approval before all military, because sometimes, as you well know, Liz, some of these actions have to be done very quietly, very secretly, very swiftly, under the dark of night. I don't want to have a meeting. I don't want to have some kind of something on C-SPAN. Doesn't make any sense. But Liz, I appreciate your call. Quickly.
Can I ask you one other thing?
Quickly, yes.
Oh, well, I saw a piece on the German army being developed, and it kind of made me queasy.
You know what? As well it should. Liz, I thank you for your call. This is Lionel with you on Another Side of Midnight.
It's Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Inasmuch as there has been a tremendous amount of interest in the case involving Mr. Comey, and while it may bother people, I want to give you some real problems if you, as a prosecutor, are stuck with this case. Whenever you have something that is a statement, you've got to make sure that there is a clear intent that is made, directness required to be a true threat. There's all kinds of statements. Not recklessness, not subjective offense, but something that is objective where the reasonable person would say, yes, this means immediate. Public expression. Remember what we're doing. This is the part that always gets me. Historically, I always thought people in the, either talk radio or online or whatever it is, you would think people whose livelihood, whose job it is to express, would understand that political expression, even hyperbolic, even critical of the president, receives strong protection. Courts historically have always distinguished between protected advocacy and unprotected protected incitement. You know, I keep thinking about, I had the honor, and I loved him. I liked him a lot. Used to work with Bob Grant. Bob Grant said stuff that drove people crazy. I'm saying it is because of that piquancy. It is because of that he's so popular. And we didn't have social media then, but prosecuting ambiguous social media risks, this is a very big word, a chilling effect, especially from public figures. Comey has a history of criticizing Trump. And by the way, when he was told about this, he took it down immediately. He said, "Oh, I didn't realize this. I didn't know." Okay, fine. This is not the kind of stuff. This is going to be hard for you as a prosecutor to get around this when he says, "Oh, I made a mistake. It's not what I intended to do." He's got to be clear. You've got to be clear. You've got to use words that direct people under this Brandenburg case. This is the rules. Now, here's the deal. In our system, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it. There's some things I don't really agree with. I think are kind of stupid. I can go through the list. Oh, the Schmerber case. The idea that we have a Fifth Amendment, you're going to love this one. We have the Fifth Amendment, right? The Fifth Amendment case where I cannot be compelled to give testimony against me. But if I'm charged with drunk driving and somebody says, "Yeah, I hurt somebody," they can hold me down and suck the blood out of my veins like Dracula. That's not compelling evidence against me? Well, that's different because you know what the Supreme Court said? It's non-testimonial. What? How about the Newberg case? Remember, Newdow, the In God We Trust case? Stupid. There's plenty of these cases, but this is our system, plain and simple. Let's go back to the phones, back to the phone. Let's go to Jeff in upstate New York. Jeff, you're on the other side of midnight. On another side of midnight with Lionel. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, we're all with L Train. We're all having fun. Before I get to the meat and potatoes, the First Amendment is also there so we can find out how stupid people are too. So it's effective that way. But I just want to talk about the correspondence dinner last Saturday, the amazing week gone by. I said originally when I saw the video, I said they're speeding it up and making it look like an old grainy film because they didn't want to show the incompetence of the Secret Service that was there. And you do get to see on some video, and the clear one, where he's walking in there and the Secret Service with the canine's going after him. And the Secret Service is pulling the dog back. That dog is trained to smell gunpowder, and he was letting him go. I couldn't believe what I was watching there. This is incompetence. This guy, Sean Curran, has to be fired. What is protecting him? Don't tell me he's got an uncle in the Treasury Department or something. That's nonsense. This guy is incompetent. He was.
It's funny. Jeff. It's funny you say that. Going back to the Tyler Robinson case, the individual who was charged with shooting Charlie Kirk, they did not find the alleged rifle that he used to shoot Charlie. It was out there for a long time, and the reason why is because it was never fired. And the reason why the dogs couldn't find it was because it wasn't fired. But the FBI found it. Oh, here it is. The dogs couldn't find it. These things can smell a fish fart. I mean, they are the most incredibly trained. And what you're pointing to, Jeff, is yet another example of this is why people think maybe there is a conspiracy. Maybe there's somebody involved trying to do this to bring about something. What this president has already been through. Don't you understand that and I thank you for your call, Jeff. Don't you understand if you want to see something, do you think this could have happened? Let's say, watch Putin's security, watch Erdogan's security from Turkey or Turkey. These are the most serious folks you can imagine. Would they have allowed this? Absolutely not. Mary in Chicago, line 1. You're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Oh, hello, Lionel. I am a big
Mary.
chicken. I don't like going up against people, but I was just wondering this, because I do stand behind what I say here, unless you show me otherwise. There's so much AI going on now, and even before AI, I would see things on so much social media. Oh, this celebrity is on hard times, these pictures.
Right.
And then I realized, wait a minute, I just saw them on something. They look tip-top. So I'm saying, do you honestly think, because I have heard you say it twice, that Erica Kirk posted that picture of her leaning into her husband's coffin with her face by his face? You honestly think she posted that?
Oh, yeah, she did. Absolutely.
She did?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Proudly.
I would say you have talked to them and that's a fact?
No. She said it. She's admitted to it. She said, yes, this is part of
then
the...
I do. Then wow! Then I have to agree with you. I thought for sure that was AI.
No.
I mean,
Listen,
people.
that's the
almost
first thing.
against the law to show something like that in some religious circles and so on.
Not really.
All right.
Not really, but it's also grief porn. One time I saw something on Facebook. I'll never forget this. This guy's mother was in the hospital. Apparently, either she had just passed away or was close to it. And her hand was sticking out, looked kind of purplish, and she had IVs. And he took a selfie of himself with kind of a pout, like, look at me, poor me, look at me. And people said, and they wrote in saying, oh, I feel so sorry for you. This is where we are. This is what social media is. If your dog dies, if there's a pet death, if your goldfish dies, anything that goes wrong, anything that gets attention and likes, people will do. But immediately following this, remember these spectaculars, these Charlie Kirk memorials with sparklers, and she comes out the gold lame, and what is this? Now, compare and contrast this. Candace Owens brought up a good point. She contrasted this to when Kobe Bryant died, was killed with his daughter. His wife was so quiet. She said something very quickly. I'm too heartbroken to speak, and that was it. She never said, and by the way, that's Lakers.com. Get your season tickets for Lakers. Immediately when Erica did this thing, I think 5 or 6 days after this horrific event where her children lost their father, she was on a Zoom call pushing the team for selling merch and hats, and make sure it's tpusa.com. We're making a lot of money. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. It's this. What is going on? Do you remember when at the State of the Union, Erica Kirk was sitting there next to the woman whose daughter, the Ukrainian national, the blonde young girl who was stabbed brutally in South Carolina, North Carolina, in this bus by that crazed knife-wielding lunatic. Anyway, to see them, the mother looked spent, like she couldn't speak. She was so just devoid of any feelings left. And there was Erica doing the tissue routine. I mean, it is just, you cannot possibly. And I think, by the way, her biggest problem, I don't think she had anything to do with it. I don't think she's in any way complicit. I just think she's dumb as rocks. And it shows. Sad to say. Let's go to Larry on Long Island. Larry, you're on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel. How are you?
Good, sir.
So I want to talk about something that is not often discussed on your show. Hopefully, I'm not going to bore you. I want to talk about oncoming senility.
Oh, my God.
I think I'm experiencing it for the first time in the last month or two, and it's scary.
And why is that, sir?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Why is that, sir?
It's scaring the hell out of me. I'm not joking.
Why are you? What is happening?
I'm going to give you an example of senility that I still can't believe happened. 2 weeks ago, from the time I was 18, I haven't done my own laundry. I bring in my laundry to laundromats. When I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of money, but I swore I would never do laundry again. And I've lived up to that moment. And so I bring my laundry to laundromats and drop it off and pick it up the next day. 2 weeks ago, I bought, after 17 years, a brand new car. I treated myself. I'm not a car person. My other car was beautiful. But I
Tell me
just
this
said,
is going somewhere. Tell me there's a great payoff to this story. Please tell me.
I got into the car of a stranger and drove away with some of her belongings and didn't recognize that it wasn't my car and that it wasn't my stuff. I drove
Larry,
back about.
Larry, I want to thank you for your call. Please speak to somebody who is possessed of the requisite knowledge and expertise and licensing, a doctor, a physician, somebody who knows about gerontology. I wish you the best, but obviously this is not only does this not have anything to do with what we are talking about, but this is not the appropriate forum for this. I thank you for this, and I wish you nothing but the best. I mean that sincerely. Let's go to Eric in Florida. Eric, line 2. You're on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, sir. Sincerely appreciate it, and a longtime supporter of the conspiratorium. I'll leave it at that. Hey,
thank you, sir. Excellent.
Yes, sir. 100%. Hey, I think that this selective prosecution of 8647 is one of the dumbest ideas and prosecutions or willful prosecutions that I have ever heard about in quite a long time.
Why is that? Tell me why.
Yes, sir. As a medically retired military service member, I will say this. Does anybody remember Kathy Griffin and cutting the heads off of, and anybody remember Madonna? Okay, when she said, "Oh, we're going to drop bombs at the WH." Does anybody remember? God, I forget her name. When she said, "We're going to target these so and so representatives."
Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let's go back a little further. Anybody remember this little town called Skokie, Illinois, in the 70s?
Yep.
When the neo-Nazis,
the Klan. Yep.
Exactly, all protested.
No, the Klan.
ACLU.
It was the Klan. It was the Klan. Absolutely.
I stand corrected. So,
yes.
And the ACLU even came out and defended them as a free speech.
And the Supreme Court backed up their right. That is correct, sir.
Right, and even the late Larry Flint and his prosecution, or how should I say, Jerry Falwell coming after him for slander and defamation, and
that was a famous
Hustler
Campari. It was a famous Campari. It was a parody, which was pretty. It was pretty rough, but it
was raw. Yes, sir. It was 100% raw, and the Supreme Court said, "You know what? Free speech." Now, do I think it's distasteful, some of the stuff that was said? 100%, absolutely. Some of it's vile. But this is the United States. This is America. We're supposed to be able to say these things. Now, would I say it if I was the former director of the FBI? No, that's just me. But he posted what he posted, and that's that. The left and the right paradigm is a bunch of hogwash, in my opinion, and I think what we're looking at is the establishment. There's these things called anti-Semitism laws that have come out, and my representative here in Florida, Randy Fine, was the state legislature who presented it to Florida, and Ron DeSantis signed it into law for the state of Florida. Now, it's all over the United States, okay, and that comes to the fact that some of these laws, the way they're written, if you even criticize the government of the state of Israel, you can be prosecuted for, hate speech, anti-Semitism, you're anti-Semitic, this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, I don't live in that world. I believe, in my opinion, that there should be more talk like this. And I'm not saying I would necessarily do certain things like that, but there should be more speech.
But also, do you not think, Eric, it is odd that there is no concomitant law that prevents us from speaking ill of our own country? I don't understand. I mean, I think that would be wrong too. But let me tell you what you just said. You said you served in the military, right? You were retired from the military?
Yes, sir.
And we thank you for your service. And what did you do? You fought, or you theoretically, whether you actually fired a weapon or not, but you were there to defend the Constitution. That's it. Not to protect.
Go ahead.
That's what you swore to. And isn't it funny that we pay all this homage to you? Oh, thank you for your service. And we love parades. But when it comes to somebody saying, wait a minute, you have the right to say whatever it is that may be just absolutely reprehensible. And I can't believe how the biggest problem I have with some laws is when it is so open-ended, it gives a police or a legislator or a prosecutor the idea to determine, well, when is something so offensive that it transcends offensive? Why is it that I was raised Catholic? I'm a retired Catholic for the most part because I don't practice it now, but I'm not a cafeteria Catholic. I think you have to practice your faith for it really means something. But all I remember is that people throughout my life just attacked it like you can't believe. And when the Catholic school problems with priests and everything, I heard this all the time. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Now, it was anti-Catholic, without a doubt. And then there were these others. The ACLU would come. All right, I figured that's the way it goes. There was no such thing as a hate crime regarding Catholicism. None. Well, why not? I don't understand why. Well, it's different. What do you mean it's different? Look, I believe in this system of ours. And the thing is, we have a rule book. And if you don't like the Constitution, get rid of it. You have the right to basically repeal it, the whole thing if you want. But for us to sit back and to pretend that we don't understand this, no. Absolutely nuts. Let's go to Sharon calling in Detroit. Sharon, you're on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Yes, I'm calling the second time.
Well, bless your heart.
I live outside of Detroit in Bloomfield Hills, and I love to hear you. And I agree with everything you've said tonight.
Uh-oh.
And I want to tell you, since I've worked in psychiatry, I checked the moon, it's full. So I want you to go home knowing the moon was full and it wasn't you.
Sharon, I appreciate you so much. I thank you for calling. There is something, even though the moon has something to do with that, I thank you nonetheless. Brian in Florida, you're on Another Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, so good to hear you. It's been a few months since I've talked to you here in Florida.
I'll take your word for it. Go ahead, sir.
So, getting in regards to the freedom of speech thing, you just made me remember back, in the 80s with the NWA thing and the IC thing, and how you remember the whole Tipper Gore,
sure, right,
involvement. Yeah. I mean,
well, Tipper Gore, that was the National
Donahue.
Parents. Yeah, but it was National Parents. It was against Frank Zappa, and she would go after each other. And you know what the funny part about that was? I'll never forget this. This was
remember?
Two Life Crew, right? But there was you remember they did Me So Horny. There was a takeoff of. You heard this in Miami? They had Two Live Jews, and one of their songs was "Oi, so humid." Anyway, it was very funny. It was a takeoff. Anyway, the thing that was interesting about this was that when people, how do I say this? When people try to advocate this, Donny Osmond came back and sided with Frank Zappa, and he says, "You don't understand. Nobody's going to buy my music if it's got a G rating on it. So I'm going to have to gratuitously insert something that makes it provocative, or else I'm not going to make any money. You're going to have the opposite effect by virtue of what you're doing." That's what this is. We as Americans should absolutely hate anything that even remotely appears to be censorship. And I thank you for this, for your call, Brian. One of the things I don't understand now in terms of, okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, quickly.
No, you mentioned Frank Zappa. I actually had dinner with the Weasel Zappa.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Fantastic. Thank you, Brian. Our number is 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. Thank you for your call. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Let's go to Chris on Long Island. Chris, you're on the other side, on another side of midnight. I'm going to get that right. With Lionel.
Yes, I was just wondering if James Comey can be prosecuted for FISA court warrant of use.
Oh, FISA. Could
yes,
he?
FISA court signing off on the FISA warrant to investigate the Trump.
I would start with the FISA court themselves. They're the ones that would
the
talk to,
judges.
not somebody who makes an application to FISA court. Oh, they've been all but forgotten. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Let's go to line 5. Tom in Chicago. Tom, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Yeah, Lionel, I was getting ready to say, like the guy was saying earlier, that 2 Live Crew, Ice-T come out with Cop Killer. Snoop Dogg came out with 187 on an undercover cop. And it's just freedom of speech. We got to guard it.
How about I shot the sheriff?
I shot the sheriff, but Ice-T said in one of his rhymes, he said, "It's freedom of speech. Just watch what you say."
Yeah, right. But the thing is, does it mean anything or not? Now here's what I don't understand too. If I come out and I say, "Kill bin Laden," kill him, they're going to say, "Okay." I say, "Wait a minute, hold on, excuse me. I thought we couldn't talk about killing." Oh, no. Certain people. Well, where is that written? I don't know where. Do we have a list of who I can say this to? Well, no. So it's not the idea of threat. It's certain people. Now, let's assume that let's say you and I, Tom, we live in Dearborn, Michigan, with a very strong Muslim population. They have calls to prayer at 5 a.m, or Minneapolis with the Somalis, and they don't like that. Kill bin Laden was moot now. They consider that to be Islamophobic. They pass a city ordinance. They charge you and me with a crime, a hate crime, because we said that about bin Laden. But that's okay in New York, but it's not okay here. So tell me where I go. Where is the list that tells me who's in and who's out? Does that make any sense to you? Tell me who's in. I don't understand any of this stuff. And the First Amendment is not is not designed to talk about with Henry Mancini music. It's about terrible stuff. Tom, there are people who defended the anarchist cook. This is before your time. It's 1971. This was how to kill people. I mean, there's no kidding around with this. It instructed people. There was a group called Paladin Press, how to kidnap, how to abduct, how to destroy. And they said, that's okay. So why? So Comey puts shells out and he's facing up to 10 years in prison for this? Come on. All right, Tom, I thank you so much. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. Let's go back to I think the fun and the mayhem. Let's go to Sal in New Jersey. Sal, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Good morning, Lionel. Lionel, the reason why we have to become a history-minded people in order to, because in order to, we have to understand our world and ourselves, critical thinking, empathy, and how our past events shape ourselves. Because if we don't, if we don't understand where we came from, we don't understand who we are and where we're going.
Hear, sir. And don't forget also what Tolstoy said about history, and I thank you for your call, Sal. Tolstoy said, history would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. Let's go to Sherry in Chicago. Sherry's on line 4. Sherry, you're on another side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. You made me promise last Friday to call you this Friday, so I said I would if I was awake.
Well,
And
thank you. What's on your mind, Sherry? What's on your mind, young lady?
I must tell you that all night long, all the subjects you broached, I've been trying to call over and over again, and you are very popular because every time, I don't know how many lines you have, it was busy, busy, busy. I mean, wouldn't even start to ring.
We have been cooking tonight. We have yes, ma'am.
Well, I want to know two things because originally they said you're on 2 nights a week, or are you only on
Saturdays,
1 night? That
Saturday and Sunday, or you would call it Friday and Saturday.
On WGN,
Saturday morning,
because that's.
Well, I don't know about WGN, but I'm here Saturday nights or morning and Sunday mornings, 2 to 5 a.m. Eastern time. That is
all right,
correct.
but what station is if I have to?
Well,
look
you
on
have to
the
check
internet?
you have to check your own particular listing.
No.
You have to go
But
also.
what is your station called?
WABC. You can also go to our app at 77 WABC. There's a wonderful app which allows you to listen to.
I just wondered.
Which allows you to listen to this show and
friend-
all the other fine programming on the WABC family. How is that? Sherry, I thank you so much, dear heart. Call me again. Let's go to another Larry in Florida. You're on another side of Midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. I was just wondering, what, if any, message did you happen to glean from all the protests on Friday, May the 1st?
Nothing.
Any common set of grievances?
No, I mean, they have the right to, as long as it's, for the most part, some of them were peaceful, some weren't. No, I honestly, as per, it's like with No King's Day and others, I didn't pay any particular attention to it. What about you, Larry? What did you glean?
It's just a waste of their time.
What is, well, listen, if that's what they want to say, if that means something to somebody else, go ahead, as long as it's peaceful. What did you glean, Larry, from it?
A bunch of people that are dissatisfied with their lives and the country in general. With everybody
do they have the right to complain?
Grievances.
Do they have the right to complain?
They're complaining for they're going about it the wrong way. They're not going to accomplish anything.
How would they do it then? What do you suggest?
The petition by doing what we're doing now, discussing things over the radio, writing things for the paper, writing things to your Congress people.
But one of the tried and true guaranteed methods of speech is, of course, speaking. And I thank you for your call. Speaking, marching, protesting, demonstrating. Since the beginning of time, you can argue, did it make any difference? I don't know. That's really not up to me to decide. I tend to agree with you. I don't think most people have any clue as to the history of May Day, what it means, what was accomplished. But it's not up to me to decide whether this makes sense or not. Remember the Million Man March? Remember that with Farrakhan? And they said, was it 1 million man? Was it 100,000? Who knows? What was accomplished? I don't know. It's not up to me. If people want to meet in their town to celebrate a World Series champion, it's not up to me to decide. That's not it. As long as you go through the requisite routine, get a permit, or do whatever you have to do, and are peaceful, I don't care what you want to say. That's the beauty of our constitutional republic. You can say whatever you want peacefully, no matter how inane or stupid or insane or irrelevant it is. That is America. And this is Another Side of Midnight with Lionel. Let me say this before I leave. I'm going to thank Dr. Antoine Atwood and Dr. William Lee for their expert guidance tonight, stewarding the helm, making sure that all that goes on in the background, which you never know about, they are part of the background. They're it. You can't automate this. You can't, no matter what AI you think you've got, you cannot do it. Because AI doesn't know who to call in the middle of the night. AI doesn't know when someone's like, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this. Plus, AI doesn't have this thing called experience. And when you take the three of us and we put ourselves together, we have about 650 years of collective radio experience. So anyway, I want to make sure that they are thanked for that because they are superb. Let's go back to the phones, back to what I call fun. Let's go to Mark in Chicago. Mark, you may be the last caller. I'm not sure. You're on another side of midnight. Go ahead, sir.
How you doing, Lionel? Yeah, I remember back in the 60s it was saying, it's like, I might not like what you say, but I'll
That's
defend
easy
your
for
right
you to
to
say.
it. I
Indeed.
mean, what happened to those liberal people? It's and then now with this, pardon?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, with this internet too, it's like back in the day. It's like if you're mad about something, you want to say something. Well, I'm going to write a letter to the editor or something. And then by the time you got your pen and paper, you didn't say it. But now with the internet, people just can. Their mind is just throwing stuff out there left and right because they don't like something. I mean, I feel like you were saying, this country's going a weird way.
Well, it is going a weird way, and I thank you for that. But let me also say that I love the internet, and I love the immediacy, and I love the fact that because of X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, that I can be on the same page as somebody else. That if I see the president or somebody, I can actually comment either in a chain. Granted, I might be diluted among a million people, but I think it's a great equalizer. And I think that YouTube in particular allows people the chance to form their own channels and to say, you know what, I want to say something. In the old days, you couldn't do it. Thank you so much, my friends. We will see you again tomorrow. Usual time. Mr. Lee and Mr. Atwood, thank you so much. This is Lionel with you, reminding you, as always, the monkey's dead, the show's over, sue ya, dat.
Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.